What if heartbreak isn't the end of your story, but the beginning of your true healing? Could facing the pain, instead of running from it, be the most powerful decision you'll ever make? These 9 Stoic principles don't just help you survive a breakup. They show you how to transform your pain into power, grief into growth, and silence into strength. Have you ever asked yourself, why does pain cut so deep? Why can the end of a single relationship leave us sleepless, drained, and feeling like there's nothing left in this world worth holding on to? The truth is, many of us are living with something we don't even realize. Unattended sadness. It lingers, quietly, building up through every scratch, every wound we've brushed off. We stay busy. We pretend we're fine. We skim past our own emotions. And because we never give ourselves the space to fully feel, that sadness slowly grows, silently, wearing us down from the inside. Heartbreak isn't just sadness. It's a form of grief. It's mourning something that once belonged to us, but no longer does. Grief is sudden. It's not part of the plan, and none of us are ever really ready for it. But as the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. If you keep avoiding the pain, you're letting it control you. But if you face it, accept it as a natural part of life, you won't just heal, you'll grow stronger than ever before. This video is here to help you begin that journey. 1. Breakups and grief are both unwanted changes. Breaking up is an earthquake within our hearts. Not just because we lose someone, but because we lose a part of the future we once believed was certain. According to David Kessler, an American speaker and expert on death and grief, grief is every change we did not choose. When a love ends, you are not only losing the person who once held your hand through the storms, but also losing all the dreams you nurtured together. The mornings waking up side by side, the late night conversations, the children who would have carried both of your smiles. All of it vanishes in an instant, leaving behind a vast, suffocating emptiness. Stoicism teaches us that what lies outside our control, including the emotions of others and the changes of life, should not be the source of our unhappiness. As Epictetus once said, some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. The end of a relationship is never something we desire, yet it is our response to that ending. The way we choose to perceive it, the way we choose to heal, that truly lies within our control. Grief is natural. It is the heart's reflex to loss. But grief is not a life sentence, it is a process. Imagine you have just gone through a breakup. You have not only lost a lover, you have lost the evenings you thought would stretch endlessly into forever. You have lost the vision of building a home together, of sharing every small, precious moment of life. You hurt not just because love ended, but because the future you once believed in crumbled without warning. That is grief. Sorrow for a change you never wanted. However, Stoic philosophy reminds us, even though we cannot stop the tides of life from changing, we always retain the power to choose our attitude. We can choose to remain stuck in our pain, or we can choose to move forward even if our steps are trembling. Every step forward, every time you lift your head high while your heart still bleeds, is a small victory, a major leap in mastering your emotions. A broken heart does not define you. It simply proves that you have loved deeply, dreamed boldly, and believed in beautiful things. Stoicism does not ask us to become cold or indifferent. On the contrary, it teaches us to face pain with courage, to allow ourselves to hurt fully, and then to rise from it stronger. Your pain does not need to be hidden or denied. It needs to be acknowledged, to be felt, and to be released when the time is right. Just like how bison charge straight into storms rather than run from them, you too will learn to face your pain, rather than prolong your suffering by trying to escape it. You have the right to cry. You have the right to fall apart. You have the right to feel hollow. But you also have the right to stand back up, to smile, and to keep moving forward. And it is precisely that choice, that internal freedom, that Stoicism offers you when your heart is breaking. So if heartbreak is inevitable, if it cannot be denied, then why does your heart deserve to be heard more than anyone else's? Right now, we are about to move into the next part where you will understand why your pain is never something small or insignificant. 2. Your sadness is always the most important. You've just come out of a relationship. The endless conversations, the unfinished plans, the broken promises, all of it has now become just memories. You feel empty, aching, as if someone has torn away a piece of your soul. Yet in the very moment you allow yourself to fall into that pain, a quiet thought creeps in. It was just a few months. Other people survive divorces after decades. What right do I have to be this sad? And so you swallow your tears, you reassure yourself, it's nothing, I'm fine. But in truth, you are doing the worst thing possible, denying your own feelings. Comparing pain only traps you in your mind in cold calculations and soulless measurements instead of letting your heart hurt and heal naturally. Because every person has a different threshold for sadness. A small fall at the age of 5 can hurt, just as much as a major failure at 30. A breakup after a month of love can stir up a storm inside no less fierce than the end of a decade-long marriage. There is no universal scale for loss. And no one has the right to tell you that your sadness is less valid than someone else's. In Stoicism, the philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This reminds us pain does not come from the event itself, whether it's a short-lived love or a long-term marriage ending, but from how we respond, how we allow our minds to face what has been lost. If you keep comparing, if you keep suppressing, you are handing over control of your mind to the outside world. You deny your heart the chance to fully grieve and afterward to fully heal. You do not have to be hurt enough by anyone else's standards to deserve your own tears. When you are hurting, it is real. When you are sad, that sadness matters without needing comparison or justification. If your heart tells you this is worth crying over, then cry. If your heart wants to retreat quietly for a while, then allow it that space. Do not use someone else's. Pain is a yardstick for your own because pain, like love, can never be measured. Others may tell you it's not a big deal, but only you know the size of the waves crashing inside your chest. True courage is not forcing yourself to be strong right away, but standing steady enough to listen to your own feelings, no matter how fragile or chaotic they may be. And from the deepest place of that sadness, you will eventually find a new strength, not by denying it, not by comparing it, but by embracing everything you are feeling as a natural part of the human journey. Today you may hurt, and that does not make you weak. On the contrary, it proves that you are still alive, still loving deeply, enough to be wounded. Remember, your sadness is always the most important thing to you. Do not reject it. Do not diminish it. Move through it with all the kindness you can offer yourself. 3. Learn from the buffalo. Rush into the storm instead of avoiding it. When storms sweep across the vast plains of America, the buffalo, a creature often thought of as simply grazing and wandering, responds in an unexpected way. They don't run away. They charge straight into the heart of the storm. By confronting the raging winds head-on, they shorten the time they must endure it. The storm passes over them more quickly, and any pain they experience doesn't last as long. Humans are different. Our natural instinct when facing pain, especially heartbreak, is to avoid it. We try to keep a safe distance from sorrow. We turn up cheerful playlists, bury ourselves in work, and scroll endlessly through social media until exhaustion takes over, all just to avoid confronting the real emotions bubbling inside: longing, emptiness, and a shattered heart. But avoidance doesn't make the storm go away. It only causes it to linger around us longer. No matter how loud the music or how crowded the room, emptiness still quietly seeps into the quietest moments. You can pretend to be busy, but in a sudden flash, when you stumble upon an old object or a familiar street, your heart aches just as sharply as it did on the first day. Stoicism teaches us a simple principle. No one demands that you be so tough that you become cold. But instead of running away, you can choose to charge straight into the storm just like the buffalo. What does that mean in real life? It means that when sadness rises up, don't rush to play a happy song. Sit still. Allow yourself to cry without shame. Feel every wave of emotion crash over you, even if they hit so hard that they take your breath away. Don't resist. Don't numb the pain with temporary distractions. When you allow yourself to sit with your pain, you are shortening the time you have to suffer. You face the truth that your heart has been broken, and that very acceptance is what begins the healing process. Because no pain lasts forever unless you cling to it by refusing to face it. Just like the storm, pain needs to pass through, not be held back. Charging into it might terrify you at first. You will feel as though you are standing naked in the rain and wind, as if you might be swept away. But then you will realize, with every step you take toward your pain, it grows a little weaker, and eventually the skies will clear. This is not a promise that you will immediately forget the one you lost, or that everything will be fine when you wake up tomorrow. No, Stoicism never paints such easy illusions. What we seek is inner strength, the courage to step straight into the darkest places of our emotions and to find peace. Not because our circumstances have changed, but because our soul has matured. If your heart is aching today, remember the image of the buffalo. Ask yourself, will you keep running in circles around the storm, or will you choose to face it so it can pass more quickly? If you feel that what I shared in this video resonates with your experience, leave a comment below. I want to hear your story. Whether you are standing before the storm, walking through it, or have already seen the light at the end of the path, we are stronger when we know we are not alone. 4. Anger is often a bodyguard that hides deep pain. When anger flares up inside you, pause and ask yourself, what is the deeper meaning behind this anger? Don't just see it as a sudden reaction. Anger is not the root cause. It's only the surface symptom. It's like a bodyguard. Loud, powerful, always standing guard in front of the real pain you're not yet ready to face. You might not believe it, but most of the time when you're angry, what you're actually feeling underneath is hurt. When a friend doesn't support your new project, you explode, throwing out angry words. But if you listen carefully to the emotions rising within you, you'll realize that what you fear is being disrespected. You feel sad because you long to be recognized, to have someone stand by you at the moment you need it most. Anger is only a mask behind it. A heart is quietly breaking from loneliness and a sense of being unworthy. The advice here is face it head on. Don't be fooled by anger's shouting. Don't let it control you like a puppet. Ask yourself, what is my real pain? Maybe it's the disappointment of broken expectations. Maybe it's the sadness of feeling unloved or the fear of losing something you treasure. Anger is simply the instinctive way of trying to regain control. But the Stoic way is different. They don't seek to control others, they seek to master themselves. The same goes for heartbreak after a breakup. At first you might be angry at the person for leaving, angry at yourself for not being good enough, even angry at the world for being unfair. But if you have the courage to stop, to breathe deeply, and to truly look into your heart, you'll see the sadness flowing silently beneath the anger. The sadness of losing a part of your life. The sadness of seeing beautiful memories become nothing more than the past. If you only cling to anger without realizing this, you'll stay trapped in a meaningless battle against yourself. You can choose differently. When anger rises, don't charge after it like a raging bull. Stand still. Look straight into the storm roaring inside you. Ask, what am I really hurting for? That's the first step toward healing. That's how Stoics face their pain, not by avoiding it, not by fighting their emotions, but by recognizing them, acknowledging them, and letting them pass naturally. Anger is a rough armor we put on to shield our vulnerable hearts. But it's the heart that needs to be heard, to be embraced, to grow strong from within, not from the armor on the outside. When you learn to take off that armor, you'll no longer react impulsively to everything that wounds you. You'll face it with calm eyes, with a heart that has learned to endure pain without letting it define who you are. Instead of letting anger pull you further away from yourself, let it be a signal, a reminder that something deeper inside you needs healing. Just like a fever shows that the body is fighting an infection, anger shows that your soul is searching for balance. And right now, all it takes is for you to be honest with yourself, to dare to listen to the sadness hidden beneath the anger, and the healing has already begun. 5. The more you avoid an emotion, the longer it lasts. You might think that avoiding pain is a way to protect yourself, that if you stay busy enough, distracted enough, the pain will somehow disappear. But the harsh truth is, avoidance only drives the pain deeper into your heart. The human heart doesn't heal by forced forgetting. It heals by acknowledgement, by feeling, and ultimately by letting go. Every time you frantically search for something to fill the emptiness, scrolling through social media, throwing yourself into work, rushing into new relationships, you are extending your own sentence. The image of the past, the lingering memories, the dull ache, none of it vanishes. They only hide beneath the noisy dust of life, ready to resurface with even greater force at the slightest trigger. An old song, a familiar street corner. Picture this. Each time you miss them, you open Instagram, hoping to find something to soothe the ache, but every photo pulls you deeper. Every unconscious scroll cuts the wound even wider. Instead of stepping out of the pain, you're building it a nest, a place for it to grow and thrive. Yet if you simply paused, took a deep breath, grabbed a notebook and wrote, I miss them so much, it hurts so much, and it's okay for me to feel this. Then maybe for the first time in a long while, you would actually begin to heal. The Stoics understood that running from emotions only binds you tighter. Epictetus once said, it's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters. It's not what life throws at you that defines who you are. It's how you choose to respond that truly shapes you. When you choose to feel instead of avoid, you are reclaiming your power from the pain. You are proving that your heart, even broken, still holds its worth and strength. The biology of emotions works the same way. Emotions come like waves. If you let yourself ride the wave, it will rise, peak, and then fall. But if you resist, if you avoid, the wave only drags out the suffering like a swell that never breaks. It is cruel to let yourself marinate in suppressed pain when you could choose to confront it and set yourself free. Stoicism does not teach you to be emotionless. It teaches you that emotions are a natural part of being human, but you can live with them without being devoured by them. You can cry. You can grieve. You can miss someone and still hold on to your dignity. Still take small, steady steps toward the future. The truth is, pain only begins to ease when you dare to walk straight into it. Like the image of bison charging directly into a storm to get through it faster, humans must do the same. The emotional storm inside you will only end when you bravely step into the heart of it, facing everything you've been avoiding. No running, no pretending to be strong. Just standing there accepting this is me with my shattered heart and I can still live. You can be hurt. You can be lost. But only when you allow yourself to feel the full weight of the pain does true rebirth begin. Don't delay any longer. Pain doesn't demand that you be a hero. It only demands that you show up for yourself. 6. Self-compassion is not irresponsible self-pity. Have you ever tried writing a letter to yourself? It doesn't need to be fancy, nor does it have to be perfectly polished. Just something simple like this. I know you're hurting. I understand the disappointment, the emptiness, and the feeling of being let down. It's okay. I'll stay here with you, every step of the way. When you finish writing, fold the letter, then quietly make a small plan. Wake up 10 minutes earlier tomorrow morning. Take a walk around the block. Drink a glass of warm water, a tiny action. But in that moment, you are no longer turning your back on yourself. This is not self-pity. This is self-compassion. A quiet but persistent strength. One that has been acknowledged in Stoic philosophy and confirmed by modern psychology. Many people mistake self-compassion for weakness, indulgence, or an excuse to wallow endlessly in pain. But the truth is far from that. Self-pity becomes harmful only when it's paired with avoidance and irresponsibility. When we sit still and expect the world to make up for our suffering, self-compassion is different. It doesn't deny the pain. It faces it, accepts it, and fuels us to move forward. Stoicism doesn't teach us to become emotionless stones. It teaches us to calmly face what we cannot control, including a broken heart, and then to act wisely with what remains. When you write a letter to yourself, you are not whining or being weak as some might think. You are affirming to yourself, I matter enough to be cared for, and I am strong enough not to stop here. In a world that constantly pushes us to toughen up and soldier on, self-compassion can feel like a luxury. But in reality, it's the foundation for rebuilding everything. You cannot rebuild a life upon cold, denied wreckage. You need a bit of warmth, a bit of acknowledgement to give your wounds a chance to heal. Self-compassion helps you distinguish between the pain that needs to be accepted and the first step you can take to move forward. The pain of losing someone, of losing a relationship is never simple. But Stoicism reminds us, do not burden yourself further by torturing your own mind. Instead, befriend yourself the way you would befriend someone who is hurting patiently, honestly, without judgment. Write yourself a letter. Ask yourself, if the person I love most were in this situation, what would I say to them? Then bravely say those things to yourself. You might cry, you might feel angry, but here's the miracle. Even before your tears have dried, that small action has already laid the first brick for a new path. A path where you no longer abandon yourself. And that's also when you must ask yourself throughout all this time, who has abandoned me the most? The answer may shock you, but from that truth we will discover the next step together, a step that changes everything. 7. You are the one who has abandoned you the most. When we are heartbroken, the first thing we often do isn't seek comfort, it's punishing ourselves. We turn our backs on ourselves with a cruelty that perhaps no one else could inflict but us. Have you realized it? The person who abandons you the most, the deepest, turns out to be yourself. There are wounds caused by others, abandonment, betrayal, broken promises. But in the end, it's how you treat yourself that decides whether that pain will heal or turn into a scar that lasts forever. Stoicism teaches us we cannot control the outside world, but we can control how we respond. Yet instead of facing our sadness with patience and compassion, we choose to drown ourselves in the harshest self-criticism. Why was I so stupid? I'm such a failure, I deserve this. These words repeated again and again inside our minds become chains that bind our hearts. Every insult, every denial of our true emotions drives us one step further into abandoning ourselves. We deny ourselves the right to hurt, to be weak, to feel disappointed. We force ourselves to move on quickly, to be strong, to forget immediately as if feeling pain were a crime. But pain, like every other emotion, is a natural part of being human. Running away from it only makes it grow stronger in the dark. Like a storm, pain needs to be allowed to rise, to roar, and then to pass. Bison don't run away from storms. They charge straight into them to get through faster, and they survive. You can choose a different way. You can start by changing the language you use with yourself. Instead of saying, I'm such a failure, try saying, I'm hurting and I need time to heal. This statement doesn't deny the reality of your pain, but it embraces it with compassion. It doesn't blame, it doesn't insult, it doesn't rush. It gives you space to breathe and to heal. We grew up in a world that taught us strength meant not crying, that loving ourselves was selfish, that heartbreak was weakness. But Stoicism reminds us true strength is accepting reality in all its forms, including the tears, including the vulnerability. The wise are not those who never suffer. They are those who do not let suffering distort their souls. Today, you can decide to stop abandoning yourself. You can sit down, listen to your shattered heart and say, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. It may take time. You might have to repeat it to yourself every single day. But that's how you rebuild trust with yourself little by little. Don't be the one who abandons yourself again. Be the person you need most right now. If you've ever blamed yourself while going through heartbreak, feel free to share your story in the comments. I would truly love to hear from you. And remember, here you are not alone. 8. Your inner voice determines how you heal. Will you heal or will you fall apart? It all begins with the voice that rises within you. When your heart shatters, when the pain feels unbearable, it is in that very moment what you whisper to yourself will define your path to recovery. Not anyone else, not the outside world, but you. Through every word you speak and hear within, if you listen closely, you'll notice you have two choices. One is the harsh, cold, accusing voice. You're too weak. You deserve to be abandoned. The other is a different voice. Gentle, forgiving, full of compassion, like the way David Kessler once described it. A warm, tender whisper, not judging, only walking beside you. It's this voice that will save you. Stoicism doesn't teach us to deny pain, nor does it demand that we become numb. Stoicism teaches that suffering is an inseparable part of life. What we can control is how we talk to ourselves amidst the storm of emotions. A compassionate voice is the foundation not just for survival, but for growth through pain. Try recording something for yourself just once. It doesn't have to be formal, just a voice message. A short sentence like, I'm proud of you for making it through today. Play it back when you feel broken inside. Listen, then listen again. You'll witness something miraculous. Each time that voice echoes, it stitches back a little piece of you. This is the truth. Healing begins with kindness toward yourself. Not with grand words for others, but with the quietest whispers in the late night hours when it's just you facing the darkness. Believe it or not, even God speaks to people in a gentle voice, not through thunderous roars, not through furious storms, but through whispers carried on the soft breeze. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. When you speak to yourself with that same kindness, you're not just hearing yourself. You're hearing a part of the larger, wider, more merciful life that God offers to every soul. This doesn't mean the pain vanishes instantly. It remains, but you're no longer facing it alone. Each kind word you offer yourself is a small candle gradually lighting up the dark room of your heart. You'll realize the wound is still there, but it's no longer a wound of endings. It's a wound of beginnings. So when your heart screams in despair, ask yourself, and how will I speak to myself? Let the answer not be blame, but tenderness. Because the way you talk to yourself is the way you heal yourself. And you know what? This is only part of the journey. If you think healing is just sitting around waiting for the pain to pass, then you'll want to stay with me for what's coming next. Because the real key isn't just in understanding pain, it's in bravely stepping into the storm, facing everything head on and learning to care for yourself right in the heart of it. Get ready. What comes next will completely change the way you see pain and your own strength. 9. Rush into the storm and take care of yourself. We are often taught to avoid pain. When your heart breaks, your first instinct may be to rush to fill the void with work, distractions, or another relationship. But those who live by the Stoic spirit understand that avoidance only prolongs the storm. What you must do, paradoxically, is step straight into the heart of it. Face everything you are feeling. You do not need to hide your sadness. You do not need to be ashamed of your tears. Heartbreak is real. It is painful, and it deserves to be acknowledged. Like the legendary buffalo that turns into the storm instead of running away from it, you too must face it head on, because only by charging into the center can the storm pass quickly. If you run, it will chase you for miles. Rush into the storm. This means allowing yourself to fully experience everything happening inside you. Sit down, close your eyes, and listen to the sobs of your heart. Let the pain wash over you like a raging wave. You will discover that once pain is touched and understood, it begins to lose its destructive power. But Stoicism is not just about accepting your emotions. Stoicism emphasizes that after touching your pain, you must also take care of yourself. Care not by fooling yourself that everything is fine, but through acts of kindness, intention, and steadiness. You might schedule 10 minutes each day simply to sit still, doing nothing, just breathing and observing your emotions. At first, it might feel suffocating, but day by day, you will notice your mind settling like a lake, calming after a storm. Or you could write in a journal every evening, recounting what you felt without judgment or correction. Writing is a way to have a conversation with your inner self, honest and gentle. If your emotions become overwhelming, seeking help is an act of courage, not weakness. A support group, a trusted friend, or a professional therapist can become a guiding post to help you stay anchored amidst emotional turmoil. The presence of another person, someone who listens without rushing to fix you, can sometimes be the miracle a broken heart needs most. Stepping into the storm and taking care of yourself is not a short journey. There will be days when you feel like you are back at the starting line. There will be nights when you think you are fine only to collapse because of a tiny memory. But remember, true recovery is not a straight line. It is winding, uneven, and sometimes stepping backward just to gather momentum to move forward. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The pain you are experiencing is not a barrier, it is the path. And by stepping directly into it, by facing all the brokenness within, you will find a stronger, deeper version of yourself. Start today. There is no need for long, hurried strides. Just be willing, even for a single moment, to sit with your heart and embrace its cracks instead of denying them. It is within that vulnerability that you plant the seeds of true strength. Heartbreak is never invited. It crashes in like a brutal storm, sudden, fierce, and devastating, stripping away the certainties we built our lives around, and forcing us to rebuild from the ruins. But as we've explored together today, it is only by stepping into the storm, fully feeling it, practicing self-compassion, and finally taking action that we can truly heal. Your heart may be shattered, but it is your courage to face that pain that will forge new strength. You don't have to suppress your emotions, nor do you have to pretend you're okay. What you need is to allow yourself to grieve honestly and kindly. So, when the pain quiets down, ask yourself, what can I do to care for myself today? Remember, you are not alone. Programs like the Heartbreak Expert Series are always here, standing by your side and guiding you forward. If this message resonates with you, leave a comment below. What stage of the healing journey are you in? I would love to hear your story. Don't forget to hit like if this video meant something to you. Share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next videos. The newest video will appear right after this, where you'll continue learning how to build inner strength through the lens of Stoicism.